Mic check 1 2. It's the Y2K collector, and it is that time of year. I like to do a purge a couple times a year. I'll go through and look at different aspects of my collection and see where I can trim some fat, see what games I want to remove, and just kind of realign the collection altogether. I'm working with limited space in my game room, so I've never really tried to have more games than I can comfortably fit in this room, which typically limits me to roughly about 1,000 games. Like, I don't think I can comfortably store or house more than 1,000 games in my game room, which is a lot of games still. But I usually look at, how many games I want to add that year, depending on what games I'm looking for. I might look at what direction I want to take my collection in when it comes to getting rid of some games and adding some games. And so, I kind of make the decision on what I'm going to sell based on that. This year is a little bit different because in large part, I'm actually pretty comfortable with my collection. Like, I have a lot of my must-haves. I have a lot of the consoles that I want because my collection is very eclectic. It's not like, I don't think it's Nintendo heavy or PlayStation heavy or Sega heavy. I think my collection is a healthy balance of Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox, Vita, PSP, DS, Game Boy Advance. I've got Sega CD, Sega Saturn, Sega Dreamcast. I've got a little bit of Neo Geo, both AES and Pocket. I've got Switch, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, PlayStation 3, 360. There's just a lot. My collection, there's a lot of a little, I guess I could say. I don't have like a massive collection for any one system, but I've got a lot of a little of everything. And so this year, I think something that I want to do a little bit different with my collection when I start to do a little bit of a purge is I kind of want to do a purge and then take some of the funds that I get from selling some of these games to do actually a couple of non-video game related things, which sounds funny because every time I've sold in the past, it was always to add new things to the collection. I mean, going all the way back to 2022, 2023, when I sold off a whole bunch of PlayStation 2 games to get my Neo Geo AES and some Neo Geo AES games, right? Or when I sold off a bunch of Switch games to pick up a few rare Sega Saturn games and actually just take some cash. Back then when I was doing a lot of selling, I did pick up some games, but I actually wound up just taking the cash as well. So this season, I think what's going to be a little bit different is I actually want to take some of the funds that I get from some of the games that I sell and actually start putting it towards enhancing a vacation that I'm planning. So I do have a vacation that I'm planning, but I kind of want to enhance that vacation a little bit. Instead of staying maybe at a 3 or a 4-star hotel, maybe we could do 5-star. Maybe if we're able to sell a few $1,000s worth of games out of the collection, we can boost our vacation and have an even better time, or increase our stay, right? So that's one thing that I'm thinking about doing. The other thing that I've been thinking about doing is, if, just sticking with collectibles, there are a couple pairs of sneakers that I actually want to get my hands on that I don't necessarily want to pay. I don't want to pay, cash for out of pocket. So there are some games that I may sell, and I may in effect trade some games away to pick up a couple pair of sneakers that I've actually really had on my wish list for quite some time. And I'll kind of share that with you. One such pair is the Air Jordan 1 Clay Green from the Best Hand in the Game pack. That Clay Green Air Jordan 1 has always been one of my favorite Air Jordans. Just never really got a chance to get my hands on it. I think it's a very sophisticated color. It's a color that you can wear both casually and honestly at a work conference. I'm not sure how many of you um, that follow the channel, I don't know what you do for work. I mean, it's really none of my business. But for those of you who like are in corporate America and you do go to conferences, you'll know that the days of, dark navy blue suits and red ties with white shirts, those days are kind of going away. Most companies, a lot of the conferences they have, your VPs, your corporate executives, they're wearing denim, they're wearing t-shirts, and I think a lot of it is to try and copy some of what we saw go down in like Silicon Valley. Everyone tries to mimic like the Googles and the Facebooks and the Apples of the world. And, I think corporate executives don't take themselves that seriously anymore, or as seriously. Don't get me wrong, there's a place and a time for suits. You're not going to go up in front of a bunch of Wall Street investors and in a t-shirt and jeans. There's still time where you got to get suited up. But for a lot of work events, denim and sneakers is appropriate. And I like that because that honestly gives me an opportunity to wear some of my favorite sneakers. A lot of people say, well, dude, you're this age, you're that age. Isn't it time to, who still wears Jordans? I'll tell you what, a lot of people still wear Jordans. People in their 50s and 60s still wear Jordans to work events. I know because I see it all the time. So there are a couple pair of Jordans that I want to get in my collection. One other pair is and I know I'm super late on these, and it's going to be very hard for me to get, but the Air Jordan 1 Travis Scott High Mocha with the reverse swoosh. Those sneakers are pretty expensive. Right now I think people are asking somewhere around $1,000 for those sneakers. So, they're tough to get. They were highly sought after. A very good sneaker though, and definitely one I want to have. So there are things in my collection that I can get rid of, things that I can purge out. I've got a lot of doubles. So that's one of the things that I'm going to be looking at this year. Like I have 3 or 4 Nintendo 64s. I don't need to have 4 Nintendo 64s. I can only play one at a time. I've got 2 Sega CDs. I really don't need 2 Sega CDs. I have a complete in box Sega CD Model 2, which was my first Sega CD, but then I also have a Sega CDX, which is the one that I actually prefer. Although I'm a little scared to sell one of my Sega CDs just because I know the laser on the Sega CDX tends to it's a little wonky. And I like having a backup Sega CD just in case, so that's one of the reasons why I've kept both of my Sega CD consoles. But I've got stuff that I can definitely get rid of. I've got multiple Wii's, multiple PlayStations. There's just stuff. There's fluff. There's definitely fluff in the collection that I can definitely get rid of. And so that's one of the things that I'm going to be working on. It's purge season. Spring cleaning is coming around. There's a lot of projects that I want to do around the house. So in addition to, using some of the money on vacations or sneakers, also taking some of that money and putting it into the house for some cool projects that I have that I want to do around the house and in the backyard is also something that I plan on doing. So you're probably like, Y2K, how much do you plan on selling? I mean, honestly, I could really sell, around $10,000 worth of games out of the collection and be okay. And still have what I would feel is a pretty sizable collection. So we'll see what happens. If it's something that I plan on doing, I'll let you guys know. I don't know if I'll just put together like a huge bundle and try to sell it online or just sell it as one massive lot, or if I'll try to piece it out. That'll be seen as I go through and kind of just, work on each item that I want to remove out of the collection. But it's definitely purge season. I did one towards the end of 2024. And we're almost, this is the last month of the first quarter. So I can't believe we're 2/3 of the way through the first quarter of 2025. It still blows me away, but, we'll see what happens. Again, I haven't sold anything yet, just starting to think about it. Let me know what you guys, do to purge your collections. How often do you purge? And when you do purge, do you take the money and automatically buy new games? Do you put the money into other things? I'm interested to know your thoughts. Let me know down in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next video. It's the Y2K Collector. Take it easy.